Stop the War movement, one of the most powerful movements that I've seen in Britain in the course of my lifetime, at a time when the work we do is of such supreme importance. Now, you've heard a very good account of the situation in Afghanistan, and it was at that time that the Stop the War movement in its modern form developed. And since then we've had the Iraq War, we've had a threat to Iran, there's a situation in Syria, we've had the intervention in Libya, and it is an issue of massive importance which appeals to a huge number of people of all political parties. I mean, we've had Labour Party involved, Socialist Workers' Party involved, and I think the great thing about the Stop the War movement is that it has brought together people around the issue of peace rather than on some ideological purity. But what you have to recognise is that war does not happen by accident. There is a very, very strong motive among a number of people for war. One of whom, of course, are the people who sell weapons, and we're a big arms exporter ourselves, and whenever there's a war, that's money to be made by those who sell the weapons, and that's something we have to remember. There are also, of course, weak political leaders who can strengthen their position by going to war. I think of Mrs. Thatcher, who in the spring of 1981 was the most unpopular Prime Minister this country had ever seen, and the war in the Balkans preceding a great election victory in this country a bit later on. And weak leaders, along with arms suppliers, are people we have to recognise as wanting conflict. Also have to recognise that historically, the Western imperialism has been based very often on the excuse that you go in to stop war, and do that, in fact, by starting a new war. And if I look at the Middle East, Egypt was occupied by Britain from 1888 right up to 1956. The French went into Syria, the Italians went into Libya, and there is still, in my mind, a very strong argument being put forward in the world for intervention where there is a conflict which would really involve another neo-colonial struggle. And that is something which appeals to people all over the world, and I think that one of the great achievements of the Stop the War movement is that it has built very powerful links between the Muslim world and the West. And we have now made firm friends across that religious divide, which is of enormous importance for the future of the world, because if you look at it from a religious point of view, all the world's religions teach peace, and yet they use religion as an excuse for war. And that is something of deadly danger to spread of nuclear weapons with all the things that are happening. If we're not careful, we could end up with a great religious war justified in some way or another by national interest, national pride, and world peace and so on. And we must be sure those arguments do not prevail. If you take, for example, the question of Iran and the argument that they're developing nuclear weapons, compare that with the treatment of Israel, which has got nuclear weapons, and the way in which the Americans treat Israel as compared to Iran is a good example of one of the dangers that we face at a particular moment. And if we are not very careful, we're going to find that the development of nuclear weapons is itself an excuse for war. I don't know, Dennis Healy once said, and he was after all a very powerful defence secretary, he said he didn't believe that any British Prime Minister would ever give orders to launch nuclear weapons, although it is at the centre of our defence policy. He said that anyone who ordered the use of nuclear weapons would be condemning 10,000 people to death, and he did not believe that that could ever happen. It's an optimistic view, but it's one that I share, because in a strange way, our whole defence policy is based on the threat that I do not believe any Prime Minister would be prepared to use. But that doesn't mean the danger isn't there, because the arguments for that policy are very strong. entrenched in our national consciousness. And the growth of nuclear weapons, we have North Korea, we have Israel, maybe Iran, I don't know. And as these technologies develop, then of course it does escalate the risk. And that is something which we have to be alert to and conscious of, and that's what the role of Benn nuclear disarmament is all about, and very, very important it is. But it's not just that, because internal conflicts like the one in Syria or Libya can also be made the excuse for intervention. When we went into Libya, what we did was to throw the full armed force of NATO behind the opposition to Gaddafi, and God knows how many people were killed in that war, but it must have been far more than have died in the Syrian war, and we don't apply the same tests when we're killing people we do when other people are killing people. And that's something that I think has a very wide appeal, because the great thing about our argument for peace is that it reaches everybody, not a single person here, young or old, who isn't paying for the wars we go in for. Every time I buy an ounce of tobacco, I'm contributing to the wars that we fought. Every taxpayer contributes to the wars that we fight. And therefore, this is not just a remote question, it's a direct question about our lives and the way we want to lead them. And I think the appeal we make is one that does stretch right across the nation. And I think this is the strength we have, this is why we are strong, why we are feared, and why we have a role to play in the future. And so that's, for an annual general meeting, that's the general point I would make. I'm very proud to be drawn into the Stop the War movement, and I'm very pleased, as I said, to see so many people here, and to recognise that the work we've done so far, important as it is nothing to the work we have to do ahead. Because when I look ahead at all the potential dangers there are many and various and real, and we will need to be ready to move in at any moment to mobilise opinion against the next war that is being planned. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.